None of that was in the stuff. All right, kids. Welcome to our call. My ring back on now. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. These are my first world problems. My ring is too heavy. I can't I can't do my work from home in my pajamas because my ring is too heavy. Like my life is tough. You guys don't even know. It's so hard with me. No, it's not. My life's really easy. But anyways, we're gonna talk about storytelling today, and I'm really excited because I really feel like storytelling is what has always set me apart from the competition. And what I love about it is that if you ask Amy Silverman, I hope you guys are all following her. I love how she presents herself online. She will tell you that last year I was in top 10 the whole time, and she wasn't in top 10. I don't know if you guys know this story, but Amy Silverman actually finished number 12. Everyone knows this story. But there were two people in the top 10 who were disqualified. So she got to go. Like, what? Talk about the universe conspiring for you, right? So 10 and 11, or 11 and 12 got bumped into 9 and 10. How do you get disqualified? Well, they're actually, getting elite doesn't just require a rank, and it doesn't just require points. It requires that you also are building new diamonds every year. And so you could be a 15 star, but if those 15 diamonds were from last year, you don't qualify for elite. So these were coaches that are both, they're high ranked coaches, and they kind of just sat around, they didn't make any new diamonds. So you're good to go. No Italy for you. That's not the point. Point is, I was in the top 10 all year last year. Amy Silverman was not. She was somewhere between 15 and 25 the whole year. And what she said was she started following me specifically to figure out what I was doing, and she started copying the way I told stories, and now she tells stories all the time if you guys follow her. That's her whole basis. Like, she never talks Beachbody. It's always stories. And she teaches her whole team that storytelling is the key. And I really believe that. And now I'm even like more convinced because she went from being there to being number 12 by switching it up, going from what she was doing to telling stories. So it does make a really big difference. So I told you all of that just so that you'll listen to what I'm going to say for the next 20 minutes. Now it has credibility because it's not just me. So one of the little like things that you hear, the little like sayings or whatever, is facts tell and stories sell. It's just like a sales term. People throw that around. And it's really, really true. I can give you information, and those are facts, or I can tell you a story. Either way, I can get the information across that I want. One is going to lead to a sale, and the other is basically you just being a human brochure or, catalog. And it doesn't work. Nobody gets moved, by information. No one's ever been like, this is a fantastic comparison chart. I feel it in my soul. It's never going to happen. So if we can teach everybody here to tell stories the way that I tell stories or Amy tells stories constantly be telling stories, then you can teach your team that. It's going to be a lot easier for you to duplicate down, so they're not like confused and lost and copying and pasting your posts and all of that, because it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They try to copy your stuff, and then what happens? It's not them. It's not their story. It doesn't make any sense what they're saying, and nobody connects with it because it's not them. So a lot of times when people hear storytelling, they think my story, like the story, for Beachbody, and I was the best, and then I lost all the weight, and everything's happy and rainbows, and like the story. That's not what I mean when I talk about storytelling. Now, do I absolutely think that you should have your story written down in an accessible place? Yes. We do that in Emerald Essentials. We might even do it in Coach Basics. I don't actually know. They used to all be one when I used to teach them, so I can't remember which is separate, but somewhere in there, we teach you to write your story down in a Facebook note, on a blog, somewhere that you can send someone a link very easily. So yes, your story should be somewhere. Yes. And you should know how to tell your own story. That is important. Your story should roll off your tongue, and you should have a 2-minute version and a 5-minute version and an hour-long version of your story. And that just comes with practice. The more you tell it, right? The more you are asked, the more it comes up. But you should be able to tell your story to a grocery clerk without holding up the line, and to someone at a barbecue who's fixated on you. Either way, like, you should be able to tell your story. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about telling stories constantly on social media. So with storytelling, the best way to go about telling a story is to figure out what your objective is first. What is the point of this story? Where am I going with this? One of the effective things about telling stories in person, so I'm talking about online, but I'm going to explain this from that aspect. Telling stories in person is that if you lead with the end, people will listen to your story. Have you ever had a friend that just starts talking and you're like, where are you going with this? You have no idea where their story is going, and you're just like not even interested. You're like moved on. Now you're listening with one ear to this conversation over there because you're just like, you're rambling about nothing. And maybe the same friend or a different friend, maybe telling the same story, leads with, oh my God, did I tell you that my I was going to make up something dramatic, but I don't need to make anything up. My family's crazy, as I say. Did I tell you that, like, my parents are getting remarried? You're going to listen to that story. But what if I started with, dude, so, you know, my mom lives in Arizona, and then my dad, like, he lives in Washington, and he recently moved down there, and now, like, you know, he's working at this body shop, and, like, I'm going to give you all these details. You're not listening. You have no idea why you care about the story. But if I led with, oh my God, my parents are getting remarried, are you paying attention? And I can go, yeah, dude, they're getting remarried. Check it out. So, you know, my mom lives in Arizona. My dad recently moved down there. And yeah, your husband doesn't. So, and now he's working at that paint shop. Now you give a shit about these details because they're leading to the point of your story. If you just start talking, no one's listening to you. We all have attention spans that are 5 seconds long. So if you are telling a story, you're going to want to lead with the point, if you can. Some sort of attention grabber that makes people go, I want to read the rest of this 5-paragraph post. All right, because you guys know when I post, I go for the gold. Those posts are long, but people read them. Why do people read them? They're interested. So I usually started off with something that they want to know the rest of this story. And definitely in person, if you're ever speaking in person, make sure that you are catching attention first so that you get everyone's full attention for the rest of your story. I recommend sticking with a few major points and keeping them nice and clean and separated. It's harder to do on Instagram. Instagram squishes everything together. But on Facebook and on your blog, you can do this. Something about when you're writing a story, always end where you want the reader to stop and think. If there's a point in your story, you want them to have like a little bit of impact, and then to go, before they read on the next paragraph, like the next point, that's where you break your paragraph. So end every time you want the reader to stop and think, to absorb a point, to just marinate on something for a minute, right? Just sit there with it. Keep them a reasonable length. Keep them concise, like don't ramble, etc. Always have a call to action of some kind at the very end. Doesn't have to be a strong salesy call to action. A lot of times mine will simply say, like, you know, if you're ready to start your own journey, you know where to find me, and I'll just have my email address. So it's not always so pushy, like, so join my challenge group or whatever, be a coach. But there's always something so that at the end, if they are feeling inspired, there's a way to contact you. So that's sort of the structure. It's really simple. The story structure is not complex. Speak from the heart. Don't ramble. Make good points. Right? Change up your vocabulary. Basics of presenting yourself. But that's not really the part that I think everyone needs help with. I just thought I'd throw that out there. What I think people need help with is realizing how many times a day you have an opportunity to tell a story and you're missing it. So some of the tips that I have for you guys to tell stories are to spend your day looking for stories. Being like, I'm going to take a picture of this. Or if you have a thought, a quote pops into your head. You have a moment. If there's a moment where you look over at your spouse or your child or your cat or one of your coaches is doing something and it sticks with you and you're like, that's cool. You can very easily say that on Facebook. You could post a quote. You could post a picture of your kid doing something cute. You could make a mention of your spouse doing something awesome. You can praise your coaches. And those are great posts. Wonderful. But if you stop and you think about it, and you take that same post and turn it into a story and use that opportunity. You need to constantly be spending your day looking for stories. If your spouse does something really awesome and you would like to say, oh, I love it when my husband cooks dinner. It's so awesome. That's going to get a lot of likes. Women love it when husbands cook dinner. We're fans, right? Likes up and down. But you could stop and say something like, if you're the first line would probably be like, ladies, I just have to stop and like love all over my husband for a minute. Like, I hope you'll read this and help me appreciate him or whatever. And then go about how, relationships take work and it takes two and it's give and take. And I appreciate what he does. He appreciates what I do. And expressing gratitude is really, really important. And I hope that you guys are all doing that. And I know it's not always easy and no, we're not perfect, but thanks to our healthy lifestyle and some of the coaching work I've done, I've been able to, the personal development work I've done, I've been able to know that this is important and I make it a priority. And, comment below with something that your husband did for you this week that you really appreciate. That's a very impactful post compared to what was already a good post. So I'm not saying like stop posting crap and stop being negative, because you guys don't do that. I mean, a lot of the team still does, but not you guys. So it's not like your posts suck. It's like, hey, let's take the posts that are already good and find a way to add value, to build a relationship, to give a little bit more, and to have people interact with you. Because I'm now reading your stuff, I'm getting to know you, I'm admiring how you are as a wife, and I appreciate that. And I'm kind of like, I kind of aspire to be that way. And now I'm thinking about something my husband did, and I'm sharing it with you, and now we're building a relationship. That's a very different experience than you just sharing, right? So that's one aspect. You need to be looking constantly all the time. I recommend that you take no less than 10 pictures a day with your cell phone of just moments. I just have the most random crap on here you don't even know, you guys. Like, and I'm not like, oh, just taking pictures of my food. I'll take pictures of the mail that I get. I'll take pictures of my whiteboard if I have a brainstorming session. I'll take pictures if I'm on Skype with somebody or Zoom or whatever. I'll take pictures of my food. Yes, I'll take a picture of snow. I'll take a picture of the dog. I'll take a picture of whatever. If a thing catches me, there's laundry all over my house, and there is all over the place. I'll take a picture of that. Not because I'm immediately going to go post it on Facebook, but at the end of the day, I'm going to need to say something, and I've had a whole day worth of moments, and I can tell a story with that, but not if I didn't capture it, right? The picture is really important, in my opinion, just for Facebook interaction and stuff. So. And if you put yourself on I will have 10 pictures a day, then you're looking for the moments. The moments will stand out to you, and you'll have stories to tell. If you don't look, they don't just pop up. It's just kind of, wherever you put your focus. Just be constantly looking for moments in your day that you can share a story with. Now, don't just share stories for the purpose of sharing stories. Make sure they're serving you in some way. So find a way to be educational, entertaining, motivational. Oh, that's it. Give people, a little bit of you, some vulnerability, a way to connect so they can get to know you a little bit better, because we are working on the internet, right? Again, a way to showcase the positive things that are going on in your life, or something you've overcome, something you've learned, and bring that back to everything that you've done. Shalia did a post that she did. She had a birthday party and didn't take any pictures. Right? Fail. It was a really cute post. When I saw that, I kind of laughed to myself. So I was like, oh yeah, I didn't take pictures either. I mean, I didn't. I clearly didn't take any pictures. I was having a whole moment. But I'm gonna go to her page right now. But if you're offline for a whole weekend, people are going to notice. And what could you come back and do? What could you come back and say that would really encompass where you were? One of the things you could start with, threw my husband an amazing party and didn't take a single picture. Fail. Next line. What's the next line? I don't know about you guys, but I love family, and I love that this business allows me the freedom to be there. There are these moments that are really important to me. Whatever. You could go on a whole thing. And you could totally end it with something like, if you're like sick of not being able to fit in time with your husband and your kids, like reach out to me. I can show you how you can have more of those moments in your life. Right? There's these constant opportunities. Facts tell, stories sell. Nobody's going to reach out to Ashley and be like, I want to be on your team. I want that in my life because of that post. Not a bad post. Funny, entertaining. I thought it was funny anyway. But what could you do with that? What could you do with that? That same opportunity. So you have to constantly be looking for places to tell stories. Constantly. When you're doing Beachbody stuff, this applies. Absolutely. So you guys know I'm really big on like, let's not run our mouths about branded anything. I got some time alone with Jeff Hill on the top 10 trip. It was me and Amy and Kevin and Snow and Jeff. We were like in a van. For whatever reason, like the bus was full. And like, I don't even know what happened. I think Snow like kept disappearing to the bathroom and I couldn't find him. And then like, we couldn't get on the bus. And so we ended up in this van with Jeff Hill. So it all worked out really well in the end. Because it was just us for like an hour. And he was like, what is like, if you could change anything, what would it be? And mine was take the freaking challenge packs off sale. Stop putting things on sale. It makes me so upset. You have no idea. Because what I see coaches do when things are on sale is they focus their energy on whatever's on sale, or they focus it about it being on sale. In my opinion, the challenge packs are shockingly discounted already. I don't know if you guys have ever just put all those items individually into your cart and seen what that looks like with shipping and tax plus the club membership. It's insane. The savings is crazy. So I don't think adding a sale to it makes any sense because then everyone just goes in and wants to talk about T25 or wants to talk about PiYo. That's not what you guys should be doing. What I want you guys to be doing is you're finding a way to get people in the same place by telling the story. So you come on, let's say I was going to sell PiYo. This is what I would say. I would come on and be like, does anyone else think that yoga and Pilates are way too slow and way too boring? Right? Next line. I know for me, when I first started my fitness journey, was a cardio junkie. It was turbo kick all the way. And then I, grew up a little bit in the fitness world and started lifting weights. And I love lifting weights. They make me feel strong, empowered. I don't have to breathe very hard, which I appreciate. Huge fan of lifting weights. On and on and on. Like, I don't like to sit still. Not for me. So I've never been a yoga fan, but I do know that cardio doesn't change the shape of your body. I know that too many weights make you really, really tight. And tightness can change just like your bone structure. It can cause you to need to go to the chiropractor all of a sudden, all these things. So I know that I need flexibility in my life. Luckily for me, I actually just started a new program that is going to give me all the flexibility that I need and change the shape of my body without being super boring and without being super hard. I'm really excited to try this. Like, is anybody else feel me on this and want to join me? A very different thing to say than, and obviously it wouldn't sound like what I just said because I would write it and I would edit it, but it's a very different thing to say than you can get PiYo for $10 if you buy Shakeology. I want to shoot myself in the head every time I see that. I don't even know what that is. But do you guys see how if you craft a story, people are they're like, oh yeah, I feel that way. Hey, do I need flexibility? Oh crap, I do need that. You're right. My hamstrings are super tight. It didn't occur to me. Wait, but it won't suck. It won't be boring like yoga. Let's talk. It's the same thing. Stories are going to sell. Facts are just information, but you need to relate and move them constantly. So there's the stories about your promotions, and then there's your stories on your day-to-day. Okay? I'm not saying that every one of your posts is going to be a story. You don't have time for that. You have other things to do. But if you take 10 pictures a day, you can post one good story a day. You really can. It's 3 paragraphs. It does not take that long. It really doesn't. Those Facebook posts do not take me a long time. It's just that you have to get in a creative mindset and be on the lookout for the next thing that you're going to talk about. And you have to kind of think back to the different stories. And that's why every time I post a before and after picture, there's a story attached to it. A long one. I never just post a before and after picture and I'm like, look at my results, right? They're always like 6 paragraphs to the before and after. Because the before and after is going to get the attention, but then I want to move them. I want them to contact me. I want them to feel inspired. I want them to want to change. I want them to relate. I want them to get to know me. I can't do that by just being like, look, I lost 100 pounds. You should totally click like. So yeah, it's just, you really have to tell a lot of stories all the time. Tell stories on Instagram, tell stories on your blog, tell stories on Facebook, and especially tell stories in person. I was thinking, I wanted to show you guys one if I had one. I mean, you guys see them, you see all the long ones, you know what I'm talking about, but I did this one about Shara on Saturday. I don't know if you guys all follow my fitness page. Got 351 likes. A lot. I don't usually get that many likes anymore on my fitness page. I know I would have gotten a lot of likes for that because it's before and after picture, but the story made all the difference. I'm teaching Snow to do it too. You can probably tell. Oh, did I freeze? Because I opened my internet. Oh, thanks. I'll close it. You guys don't need to know. You guys can figure it out. Hold on. I'm closing it right now. Why isn't it closing? Okay. I closed it. It should not be a problem anymore. Okay. So what I think would be awesome is if everyone committed to doing at least one story a day and taking at least 3 pictures. I mean, my recommendation is 10 pictures a day, but at least 3 pictures a day of moments that you have just at work with whoever, and craft some stories from them. One thing that both Amy and I realize that we do is we take the pictures so that when we don't have a story to tell, we have pictures. Because if we get too busy, something doesn't present itself right away. There's always 1,000 pictures on my phone. That benchmark box picture that I did the other day, that was on my phone since I got back from benchmark. So it was on my phone for 5 days before I talked about it. So it doesn't mean it has to be that one, but if you're constantly doing it, you'll constantly have these stories. Is it breaking up my voice as much as it's breaking up my picture? No? Good. Then that's fine. I don't care. As long as you can hear me. So yeah, so if you want to collect things, I know one thing that Amy does is Amy looks like she goes hiking a lot. She doesn't. She works just as much as the rest of us. It's a lie. But it's a well-crafted lie. And she does that. She'll take pictures. She will run outside in her house and take a picture. She will bring shirts and change while they're hiking, and take pictures. But she always has a bunch of different hiking pictures on her phone. And she can be showcasing that all the time. I know for me, I do a lot of like food prep at once. So I'll take food pictures all at once, put them out all at once. That's pretty much it. I feel like I do a lot of like little stories on quotes. Yeah, Shalene Johnson does it too. Because you guys, like, let's be real, sometimes you don't do anything, like, at all. And like nobody wants a picture of anything that we did that day. It's not even a thing. And be like, well, I took a shower. I didn't take a picture of that. So this is what we're working with. That's fine. Like, that's totally fine. So I save tons of pictures and I use them later. You're constantly need to be gathering marketing assets and then thinking of how you can tell a story with this. It is really important that you guys are just constantly on the lookout Or what's the next story? How do I tie this back to my business? How do I tie this back to the success I've had? How do I tie this back? And so this really does give you the ability to work in the 5 categories. Who's taken Emerald Essentials and understands 5 categories? Be interesting. Yeah. So there's the 5 categories, which you guys will see in Emerald Essentials. You haven't taken it. 5 categories of you, which is figuring out what 5 things about you are interesting or important to you. And you do, like, let's say family, beach/fitness, faith, fashion. I don't know why these all need to be with an F all of a sudden. You know, I like my alliteration. And finances, because since we're doing F's. Those are my things, let's just say. Obviously not true. I have no interest in fashion, clearly. But those would be my categories. And that's what I would want to post on. I want to hit one of those things every day. Or I want to hit all 5 of those things every day in some facet or another. That way you get your 5 posts in. This is a very abridged version. You guys will see the video later if you haven't. But those are your 5 posts that you do each day. One of those can be a story. Every single time. I know if like one of them, I'm sure one of mine would have to be travel. I've changed them all the time. I had my 5 categories here forever. I don't know where they are. But I changed them, so what are you gonna do? So if you hit all of them each day, you'll have a place to put a story, and that can help give you some direction if you're like, what is she talking about? Like, I don't have stories. Well, okay, now start telling stories from all 5 categories. Tell a story about your faith, tell a story about fashion, tell a story about fitness, whatever you need to do, because there are stories in everything. And what we don't ever want to forget is that Beachbody is not a fitness business. It's a life change business, personal development, it's empowerment, it's learning how to be a CEO, it's learning how to be a business owner, it's to build purpose, changes people's outlook, the entire outlook on life. It is so much more than workouts. And there are so many stories to tell because it does cover so much. So there's stories to tell all the time. There's stories about how this has improved your relationship. There's stories about how it's made you a better parent. There's stories about how it's changed your ability to budget and do finances. Maybe there's places you can go and things you get to do. Krista, I think you could do a great story on priorities and how you still work this business, but you've never compromised date night for it. That's huge. There's so many people in this world who would love to be that and just will not. They won't make it a priority. There's a whole story in there about prioritization and like balancing the big dream and being a mom and your relationship. That's the kind of value that you can provide for sure, like no doubt. Candace, you're planning a wedding. Oh my God. People eat that shit up. Just wedding it up all over the place. I saw that you were that you found the dress at David's bridal, and I thought, fuck, there's a story she could have told. I mean, I was very happy for you that you had your dress, but then I was like, fuck, because could you have fit into that dress before Beachbody? I don't know. Could you have afforded it before Beachbody? I don't know. But is there a story somewhere in there? I think there is. I think there's something to say. And you wouldn't have had to put the dress online. You could have put a picture of like, say yes to the dress. I said yes. And here's how cool it is that I was able to put the payment down or save up or fit into it. Or I tried on 10 dresses and they all look great because my body's fantastic. It's like, go skinny, whatever, right? I don't really know your story, so I don't know if any of this hits home. But there's a story there that would have been a great share that could have brought a really fun and important moment into your life, back to your business, right? So it's really, really important that you guys are always just bringing it back, telling a story, connecting with people. Connecting with people is really hard in this day and age because we're all life casting. We're not really connecting. We're just talking at each other. And by throwing up these like random one-liner updates, there's nothing there. There's nothing there to connect with. We're just live casting. And I don't know if you guys go in the newsfeed, but it's horrifying. Being in the newsfeed like makes me want to sign off Facebook all the time. Because all it is, you guys understand, I have 4,000 friends on Facebook, all of whom need to lose weight and are kind of a mess. So it's a scene. on my newsfeed. I'm just gonna like open it and just share with you what people are experiencing on Facebook, so you understand how different yours would be. Although probably it's just gonna be a lot of Robin Williams stuff today. So, Washington State Fair in 9 days. Okay. Have a job interview at 3. Okay. Hopefully none of these are you guys. I'm not reading them. I'm not paying attention. That's a challenge. Natalie's home. Great. What is this? True Blood recap. Well, I would probably read that. I like that show. What is this? Great question, Ashley. Good job. Something about air conditioning not working, it being 100 degrees. Everyone's killing their babies in cars, it looks like. I don't know what this is at all. What's even that? That doesn't make any sense. Just a lot of fuck my life. I'm sick. Lady at the grocery store was rude. What even is this? This is my life, you guys. What? This is horrible. This is a horrible slide I'm going here. Luckily, a lot of it's you guys, which is helping. Yeah, like seriously, it's just people like just one-line bullshit. People being sad and depressed and gross and sharing like political stuff and anger and people dying and some grandma killed her grandson. What is this? See it? Okay. That is what people are experiencing. It's not that hard to get their attention, telling them a good story. Because they're scrolling and it's depressing and gross and it's not engaging. It's not, nobody wants to connect with that. It's like horrible on there. And you have an opportunity to catch their attention. And so instead of just scrolling aimlessly and being like, what's wrong with my life? This is terrible. They're going to stop and they're going to read. And they can spend time reading your 4 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs even, instead of scrolling through 100 more stories of BS in their newsfeed. So it's not that hard to stand out. You just think carefully. So that's all I really have on storytelling. I could have done this one last week, right? And I could fit it in half an hour. But I was like, I really wanted you guys to start being productive. So everyone get it? Everyone understands you guys tell stories? How different it is? And you guys have seen plenty of my examples. And I still do short updates too, obviously, because you can't tell a story 7 times a day. People are like, Jesus, all right, calm down. What's really cool about this, if you guys don't have a blog and you want to start one someday, it's really easy to go back through your pictures and pick out the ones you wrote big, long stories on and put them on your blog. Because when you blog, you can backdate a blog to any day that you want. And so you can just put them on your blog, and that'll be constant like updates. And you can launch a blog with like 15, 20 blogs on it already because you pull them off your Facebook. Copy paste, they put the picture in there as a blog post, because blog posts don't have to be long. That's a great way to have some content and let people get to know you if they find you outside of your social media. And you can share these stories on Instagram, and when your Instagram's tied to your Facebook, they come through. So you can write it in one place, have it in 2 places, then put it on your blog, and this content can be out there everywhere. You have it forever. You may have noticed, like, I'll copy a story and post it on my fitness page 2 or 3 weeks later. Doesn't matter. They don't know. I have 4,000 friends on Facebook and 61,000 followers. So that means like 57,000 people didn't see it. So they don't know that it's the same, right? So you can use them. They're like marketing assets. You're constantly building a library as you're telling stories too. So it is really helpful to have them just going forward and tag people in them later. If something hits you, like, oh, they say this, you're like, oh, I wrote this great blog post about that, or I wrote this great thing on Facebook, and then you go tag them in the picture or whatever. It really does make a huge difference, and it makes people want to follow you. My friend Craig wrote on the wall yesterday, and he said, people only need one reason to follow you, but they need constant reasons to keep following you. I think that is, people tend to not unfollow me, even if they're not interested in Beachbody in any way. They still want to be around it. It's because they do find those things engaging or entertaining or whatever. So I can't wait to see all your stories tomorrow. Yeah, I'm watching you all. I'm obviously watching you as I'm like pointing out all the stuff on your Facebooks. I'm like, see you right there. Yeah, does that work? Everybody's good? Does anyone need anything? Questions? Did you guys all listen to those interviews? I know they were long. The other day that I posted, yeah. Now you have an extra 22 minutes. You can go listen to one of them. I know one of them was 19 minutes long, so you're good to go. You didn't. You're really good stuff back there. Hope you guys spend some time in the Success Magazine part of our back office because there's like great stuff in there. I get the Success Magazine discs, right? Like the magazine comes with the CDs, but all of those that I listen to in the car, they're in the back office. So I listened to those in the car and then went and found them for you guys. So it's the same. That I'm always like, oh, Success Magazine audio is amazing. Just go in your back office and look in like August 2014, and the whole thing's in there. You can even look at the issue. You can click on it, open the PDF of the whole magazine. I'm just lazy and I won't do that, which is why I still pay for them to mail me the disc because I'm like, well, it's never gonna happen. Because I can just take it in my car and play it. But if you guys are less lazy than me, you don't have to pay the whatever dollars a month, $40 a year or whatever. It's included. You guys can check out all that stuff for free. Cool. All right, guys. Well, have a good night. I'm excited to talk to you again on Thursday. I don't remember what we're talking about, but it's gonna be great. And I'm excited to see all your stories. Have an awesome rest of your night, you guys. Bye. Oh, I'm frozen. Oh, that's cool.